Welcome to the Limit Free Life Show. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host. I bring you tips, advice, and guest stories about creating work you love. Whatever type of career or business you have or want, I want to help you find more meaning, money, and happiness. Now we are live from Hollywood. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Limit Free Life Show. Happy to be here today. It's Wednesday at 1 o'clock, and we're in Burbank, California with ubngo.com. You can find us streaming on my Limit Free Life Facebook page, and I hope you're here for the next 50 minutes so that we can have a great conversation around money. I talk a lot about career transition, business growth and development, and money, but I haven't had that many shows with an actual money expert. I've had a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people who have dealt with money issues in growing their businesses. And I'm very excited today to have someone on whose world is about money and has great insight into how business owners can maximize their income and really manage their money in a way to build financial wealth and abundance. So I want to introduce you to today's guest. Her name is Marilyn Magett, and she is the founder and CEO of CRS Financial Management Solutions. Marilyn was born and raised in New York City. She was a little girl who tossed around numbers the way most children toss around marbles. She grew up in a family with an absentee parent and had to learn quickly how to manage for herself and 5 younger siblings. She learned to manage the household. She learned how to create order out of chaos, and now she helps others do that. Now she stands in the middle of the storm with everything blowing out of control this way and that, and she can make it stop. She directs the flying objects to the position people want them to land in and settle the storm with the wave of her hand. She started working out of high school as a bank teller, then as a bookkeeper, and through persistence and dedication quickly rose through the ranks to CFO of a bank in New York. Since then, she's used her expertise to help dozens of businesses achieve financial stability and success. So now, she's your ticket to strategic growth and financial mastery. She is the bridge that takes you from where you are now to where you want to be. Looking through the lens of financial management, she can help you grow your business faster and financially stronger. She is your strategic partner there to help you fulfill your goals. And I think that is a beautiful bio, and very excited to welcome in Marilyn Magett, and glad to have you here today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm impressed listening to that.
I am too, and I think our listeners are as well. That's a really wonderful bio, and you have really, sounds like, utilized your talents and gifts to that you've developed in your own life to help other people do that in theirs. So I want you to first, before you even start, tell people where you are zooming in from today. You are truly living a limit-free lifestyle, and so let's hear where you're calling in from.
I am in my home office in Jamaica. My business is headquartered in San Diego, and I have a place in San Diego as well, but I have a Jamaican husband, and he hated living in the U.S., so I am here, not trying to Georgia.
Well, that's great. I love that, and I love that you're able to do business around the world in the way that you do. So technology is a beautiful thing.
It's wonderful.
Yeah,
it's wonderful. Yes.
So Marilyn, why don't you? I read something about your background, but can you walk us through, kind of your journey a little bit to get to the point that you're at now with the business that you currently have?
Starting from what point? Do we want to start with me as an adult, or do we want to start where I was at the bank? Or I'm an old lady, so you need to kind of give me some parameters.
You're no older than I am, but so yeah, I love the bank teller story, and but if there's a highlight before that you think got you to the point of starting that would be interesting, and then from that point on, because you really developed a high level financial career starting at the beginning. And
Well, yeah, you know, I started out, actually, I went to high school. I wanted to be an actress.
oh, great.
But I very quickly learned that they had to suffer for a long time before they actually got to make some money. And money, as you know, as I say in my bio, was always important to me. I knew all of my nickels equal the dollar, etc. So, and since I thought money was the most important part, I I didn't attach anything other than having money to the meaning of money. Uh, so I thought, okay, I'll go work in a bank because they got lots of money in there. Well, so what I ended up with, I stayed there for maybe 2 weeks. No, it was 2 months. I stayed there for 2 months and decided that it was really boring just counting other people's money.
Right.
That I wanted to do something else. And I also did not want to go to college because I wanted to be earning money.
Okay.
So I got a job as a bookkeeper, and I was very good at it, but the guy sitting next to me was making twice as much money as me. He was doing exactly the same job. So I asked why that was, and I was told that it was because he had a degree and I didn't. It did not say that it was because I was a woman. They did not say that it was because I was Black. They said it's because you didn't have a degree. So I went back to school at night, got a degree. And all the while I was going to school, I kept moving up the ranks. I was a bookkeeper. And when they realized that I really understood what I was doing, I was not just writing down the numbers, I understood what those numbers meant. I became an accountant, and then I became an assistant controller, and then I became the controller, and then I became the CFO of a bank. So at the bank, I was responsible for both managing the investment portfolio as well as managing the accounting operation. And it was during that period, the S&L crisis period. So I was buying up banks, and I was pretty young, but I was very full of myself. And I was negotiating to buy banks for pennies on the dollar and telling them the reasons they didn't want the bank to go under. You don't want this Black or this other Black bank to go under because the whole community is going to blame it on you.
Wow.
Kind of thing. So I was able to buy banks with pennies on the dollar, and but I realized I wasn't going to go any further, so I decided to go out on my own, and I've been basically a consultant ever since. Sometimes employed as a consultant, but more often than not, self-employed as a consultant.
Right.
And I've gone through various iterations of that. So when you accumulate that many years, you learn something. So, I've probably forgotten more than most people ever knew. Not to brag, but it's just true,
Well, and you're not bragging because you're leaving out an important thing, which is that you were a first. So do you want to tell the audience you were the first of a couple of things? So I was impressed by that.
Well, yeah, I was the first woman CEO of a bank in the U.S., and I was also the first Black person CEO of a bank.
It's pretty big. Yeah, that's...
So, but in those days, you didn't really pay much attention to that, or at least I didn't. I was more concerned with doing my job and having fun.
Yeah. That's great because you were able to do your job and have fun and actually make some history. So I think that is pretty cool.
Right.
Okay. So in your current role, you help entrepreneurs and business owners primarily. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes,
Okay.
I work with the CEO or founder, chief financial. I don't really work with chief financial officers. I work with the CEO, the business owner, the founder, the president of a company.
Okay. I would love to know some of the the common themes that you find among these CEOs and business owners in terms of money challenges in their businesses?
Nobody comes to me when they don't have a problem. Everybody that comes to me has a problem, and that problem is usually I need money.
Okay.
I need money to grow. I need money to scale my business. I need money because I'm short of money. I can't pay my bills on time. But it's always, I need money. How do you get me money? What do I need to do to get money?
Okay. And have they usually tried a lot of things and those things haven't worked when they get to you?
Yes. They very often they try to do it on their own and run into roadblocks that they're not aware of.
Okay.
So, for instance, I'm working with a client right now who has about $1 million worth of debt, and that's more than her annual revenue.
Okay.
And but half of that debt is that quick money that you can get, that merchant cash type money where you sign your life away and then they take the money out of your bank account every day.
Right.
And they charge you, upwards of 35% interest because she tried to do it herself. She didn't sit down and work out what was needed to get money and more importantly, create an underlying business plan and business model that would support the money she needed.
Okay. Okay. So you come in and you're able to help people with problems like that.
Yes.
I would. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
No. I found that one of the, before I even get to what I thought was a very interesting conversation that we had earlier about what some of the focus points are, because I think, so many business owners are focusing on revenue and so many, maybe they're focusing on cost, but what you focus a lot on is something that is more fluid than that and that is, frankly, in some ways more important. And so
gross profit. You're speaking about the gross profit?
And the cash flow. Yeah.
Cash flow and gross profit. Yeah. People tend to focus on what their top line revenue is. And that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is how much of your top line revenue do you get to keep? Right? And how much of that was necessary to create the product or service that you're actually selling. So whatever your gross profit is, which is the difference between your top line revenue and what you absolutely have to spend to create that product or service, is your gross profit. And that's the real amount of money that you get to use toward managing your business operationally, exclusive of the product or service that you're selling, and your profit, right? As well as what cash you get to keep. Now, the cash from the top line revenue is the amount of cash that's going to flow through your bank account. But all it's doing is flowing through your bank account. You're paying all the expenses out of that. It's not money you get to keep.
Right.
So, bragging that you got $10 million or $100 million worth of revenue doesn't mean anything if you only have a 1% gross profit, right?
Right.
Because you're only getting to keep $1. So.
No, that's so true. But unfortunately, it's not something, oddly, that people pay as much attention to. So I think it's marvelous that you go in and help people to look at the areas that they should be looking at that maybe they're not looking at.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And I enjoy it too. So I'm having fun while they're having fun. One of the things I notice that happens with my clients is that they get to relax. They've been so much stressed about the money and how to manage the money, that when I show up and help them and give them information they don't have, there's a sense of relief that they are able to experience, and they become much more confident about managing their business.
Right. And when they're more confident about it, they too can enjoy managing the money, because I think it's a big area of avoidance for a lot of people, or stress or conflict or whatever. So, allowing them to, enhancing their relationship with money is part of what you're doing, which is something that I think is a critical foundational point to growing a business. Without that positive, good relationship with money, where you're paying attention to it and you're doing the things to manage it that will help it to grow, it can be really hard. You can be working in something you love, but it's not really working.
What's even more important than managing the money is your mindset about managing the money. Because you can have a mindset that's going to dig you into a hole, even though you got a lot of cash flow coming and going. But if your mindset is right, then you can make money grow.
Right. And I think it's not necessarily the norm that people in the financial industry are talking about the mindset. I found that with my own finance and accounting career, that nobody had ever talked about mindset or your relationship with money. And, people react more than they logically think through how to do things. So I love that you're talking. And do you talk to business owners about their mindsets and how that plays into it?
I was the client that I was talking about earlier. I had a conversation with her today about, would you please stop stressing because you're making me stress. I need to stop worrying about not having the money and start worrying about having the money. Because if you keep worrying about not having the money, you're not going to have any money. Right. So how about stressing over what you're going to do with the money that you get? And that will help you create the money that you need. So, it does come up.
Interesting. And when you work with these people, are you looking at everything? Are you looking at, how the products and services are priced, and, how much the team is costing? I mean, are you going through all of the, every aspect of the business, basically?
Yes, that's true. Because I'm a numbers person, numbers are my lens, but I'm really a business strategist. I just happen to look through the lens of the numbers. Okay. So, and the numbers tell the story about what's going on in the business. So, we're talking about pricing strategy. We're talking about making sure that your gross profit is sufficient to support all of your expenses, and that you're well above your break-even level in terms of revenue. And if we're going to have a gross profit of so much percentage, then how does that affect the mix of products that we're selling, and the mix of services that we're selling, and the pricing of those services, and the expenses associated with it? What is your philosophy around the expenses? If your expenses are primarily payroll, well, are you trying to make the payroll as little as possible and starving other people because you don't want to pay? Or is your position that you are going to pay everybody a living wage, a comfortable wage, and you're going to make sure that you price yourself sufficiently to cover that? It's really all about the choices that you make.
Right. And a lot of those choices and decisions are fueled by people's money beliefs, some of those unconscious kind of money beliefs and patterns.
Again.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so you really have to get to know the business owners and the people that you're working with on kind of a deeper level, even emotionally and psychologically, before you can fully help them with their money. And I don't think many people necessarily go there. I think that's an enhancement that you're offering.
Yeah, well, one of the things that is important to me is that I be able to work with them for a longer term period. So I only work with people that I'm going to be working with a minimum of 6 months.
Okay.
Right. Because whatever the situation is, I can't really be effective in two days.
Right. Right.
We need some time to make the plan. We always start with a strategic plan. We need time to make the plan, and we need to test it, and then we need to implement it, and then we need to monitor and manage it. So 6 months minimum. But so typically I'm with a client for 18 months.
Okay. Okay.
And then my feet start to itch and I have to move on.
Well, and they probably start to see some changes by that point, some clear outcomes.
Right.
Yeah.
And they have a lot more confidence and they start to look at me like, well, what do I need you for?
Good. Yeah, you're doing your job. Doing a good job. So what are some, I mean, off the top of your head, what are some of the mindsets that you see that might be holding some of these business owners back? Or maybe the opposite, maybe the ones that, are really wonderful to have that you see that are helping them to be successful?
Well, there's the people who are spending, they're really unwilling to invest in their business or in themselves. And they are very tight-fisted about the money. And that's usually born out of fear, and panic.
Right.
And then there are the people who are spending way beyond their means, but they're spending on items that will not give them a return. It's great you can spend money, but make sure that every time you spend money, you're spending it on something that's going to return more money to you.
Right.
Typically, at least 3 to 5 times as much as you're spending. So when you need an employee, get the employee, as long as what that employee is going to do is going to generate more revenue or free you up to generate more revenue. Right? Invest in whatever equipment you need. Invest in the training that you need. It's going to return to you.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to ask you about marketing, because marketing these days, with all the options that people have, is so open-ended. And, that level of investment, I think, is pretty confusing for people, even for myself sometimes. I mean, because you could invest in so many different avenues with marketing these days, and you could the return could come at any point, so it's hard to gauge. Well, I may not see the returns immediately, but I will see them over time, but you don't really know. And so what would you tell someone about their marketing budget?
Well, the first thing I say is get the industry stats for your industry and find out what the statistics are in terms of marketing budget for your industry, and try to stay within those parameters.
Okay.
So if the statistics are that 5% of revenue or 20% of revenue is typically invested for marketing, then try to stay within that. Then the next thing that I would say about marketing is you have to test what you're doing, and you can't have your test be a long-term test.
Okay.
So you want to have marketing strategies that are going to return cash quickly, and marketing strategies that are longer term. And you want to allocate your funds amongst the short-term, intermediate-term, and long-term strategies, and constantly test. So you've got to test what your message is. You've got to test how you're delivering that message, and you've got to test who you're delivering the message to. Okay. And once you get that working, then stick with it until it stops working. Okay. Try something else. Because it's going to stop, because life changes, right?
Right.
So you're going to find whatever the next thing is.
So if the industry standard is 20% for your particular type of business, and you just are like, I wish that I could do that, but there's no way. I can't find more than 5% for that marketing. Would you say, because marketing is so important, would you say find it, like cut other places? What would you tell somebody to do, or just wait until magically?
Start with the 5%.
Okay.
Start with the 5% and use it on short-term strategies.
Okay. That's good. Okay. Yeah, because I do think a lot of people invest a lot of money in the longer term strategy. And so then you're putting a lot of money out there up front and not seeing the return. And then that's really impacting the cash flow.
You don't know if you got the right message delivered to the right audience with the right delivery method.
Okay.
So you're investing a lot of money in something that's not tested or proven. Whereas you could be testing a little bit of money in something that's going to give you a result or an answer quickly.
Okay.
You know, it's not going to return money. At least you'll quickly know it's not going to return money.
Okay. Yeah. No matter how attached you are, you know, emotionally to that campaign or that marketing strategy, you have to go with the results of the tests and move your own opinion aside.
I think that's true with marketing. I don't think it's true with the service that you're delivering.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's got to come from your heart. You know, you've got to be doing something that you want to be doing, and that is going to make an impact in the world in the way that you want it to make an impact. Right. So, I mean, that's what disruptive businesses are all about. That used to be done this way, but you know, I've got this idea. I want to do it this way, and I think it's better because it's going to help people who are not being served right now, or it's going to help them in a different way than they are being served right now, which is going to be better for them.
I love that. I love the fact that you believe in doing something that is meaningful and that has a purpose for you and sticking to that, but also separating that a little from the marketing, right? And so it's not all the same.
Right.
Yeah. So just because you change your marketing doesn't necessarily mean you're changing your mission or your vision or the service that you're providing, but you're finding the tools in marketing that will bring in the revenue. So, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. What else? What else would you say, for the business owner is something that they really should be paying attention to, or, there's a way they should be handling something that, given your experience, they probably are not if they're having challenges?
You know what, they get their financial reports and they put it in the drawer. They don't know what it means. They don't know how it really relates to them or their business. They just know that they're supposed to get a financial report every month. They look at the top number and they look at the bottom number, and that's it, right? And then it goes in the drawer. I just don't understand that. But part of why I don't understand it is because I can read a financial report and understand everything. Right. So part of it is just what I understand and know. But on the other hand, the amount of information that is there that can help you to achieve whatever the goal you're trying to achieve is tremendous. But they're not looking, and they're not looking out any type of assistance in getting the answer, right? And so many times people tell me that, I have a bookkeeper, or I have an accountant, or I have a CPA, and what I have to say is look, they're all focused on your past. They are recording and reporting what has already happened. Right. What a CFO does is help you get from where you are right now to where you want to go. So everybody needs a CFO. It's all about strategy. Everybody needs a CFO for some amount of time. Maybe you don't need one to be there full time. Maybe you don't need one part time. Maybe you need that one once a year or once a quarter or something. Right. But you need to be looking at your strategy. You need to know where you're going and what the best route to get there is.
Yeah, that is such an important point. And that idea that these financial statements are telling a story, but people, it's like they can't read. They, like you say, they can see a couple of maybe key numbers, and away it goes. And that whole story never really got told to anybody who's listening. So
you got to know where you stand in order to get where you're going.
Yeah. Very important. And a lot of times when people say they have an accountant, that accountant is focused on taxes. And so that isn't the whole story either. So
exactly.
Yeah. So do you teach people how to read that story from their numbers? I mean, you know how to do it, obviously, but do you teach the business owners how to get the same thing out of those financials that you're able to get?
Well, at least part of what I'm able to get, yes. Okay. Yeah. I have this thing called 10 numbers. 10 numbers every I change the title every once in a while. So 10 numbers every CEO should know about her business, or 10 power numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And coupled with a limited time offer that I have right now of the Financial Empowerment Roadmap. Now, those 10 numbers are the 10 numbers that I think everybody needs to know about their business. Mm-hmm. And I go through that with them, included in the Financial Empowerment Roadmap program.
Okay.
By knowing those 10 numbers and what those 10 numbers mean, gives them so much more information than they have right now about how to manage their business and what it means when you're looking at your financial report. Right. What are the key numbers that you should be looking at, and what should those numbers look like? Mm-hmm. You know, if you know what something should look like, then you know if it doesn't look like that, you know something is a problem, right? So that is something that I like to walk everybody through. You know, in fact, they give it away for free on my, I have a site, a landing page or something.
Okay.
You can get that 10 numbers report and do it for yourself. And that is, let's see, it's 10 numbers, no space, number 10, 10 numbers dot CRSFINMGMT.com. And if you go there, then you'll be able to download the 10 numbers report. The first part is an explanation of what each number is. And the second part is a place for you to fill in your numbers.
Okay. That's great. Yeah, I'm going to download it, and I think everybody should, because it really is important to make sure that you're looking at the right things, and you're giving away something really important where people can see what numbers they need to be looking at and start doing that. I believe we have that as a gift as well, limitfreelife/gift, and you can also access that. You cannot necessarily access the blueprint that you have, so make sure that you go on to Marilyn's site for that as well. So, Marilyn, what about the balance sheet? Another piece of paper that goes straight into the drawer. What can you tell people about what they should look at on that?
Well, the balance sheet is the balance sheet tells a story about whether or not you are bankable. Can potential investors rely on you based on what your balance sheet looks like to repay them, or to actually pay them dividends if they're investing, or if it's a loan, are you in a position to repay the loan that you're taking out, right? It's the story of the accumulation of your past activities.
Okay.
While the profit and loss statement this is the results you have achieved in this particular period of time, like a year or a month, the balance sheet is the accumulation of all the past P&L statements since the beginning of time.
Okay.
And so, you know, the first place I look when I see somebody's balance sheet is I want to know if their current assets exceed their current liabilities, because that tells me if they've got enough cash and liquid assets to pay their bills. And then the next place I look is their retained earnings / equity section, because if I see a lot of negatives there, then I know they've been losing money for a while. And then I look to see how much they have in debt, because if they got a lot of debt, then, you know, that tells me that there's not a lot of room to achieve a lot more debt. That if they're going to bring in some more capital, it's probably going to need to be equity capital. Okay. So whose balance sheet was that?
Yeah.
All right.
Now, tell me this with respect to debt. That again is such a hot button kind of belief about, you know, what's right and wrong. So, you know, some people don't have a discomfort with debt. They're comfortable with it. They kind of have a little maverick in them, and they're good with that. They know they'll pay it off, and, you know, and then other people avoid it like the plague. So if you're talking about debt, is there I don't know, a percentage that is smarter to stick to than,
But that also depends on your industry. Some industries are debt intensive, and you need that. Uh, you know, some industries are not.
Okay.
So it's very much dependent upon what industry you're in and whether or not your business is generating a lot of cash or not.
Okay.
Right. So no, I can't say any particular percentage of debt is important, but there should be a balance between debt and equity.
Okay. Okay. But that idea of seeing some debt, that shouldn't, that isn't something that is, that's a business norm, basically, isn't it?
It's a business norm. And in fact, too often, I have noticed too often, women business owners don't want debt. They don't want to have any debt. They don't want to owe anybody anything. And what I say is, well, if you want to grow, you're going to need some debt, because you make more money using other people's money than you can using your money. So if you got $10, then there's only so much you can return. But if you got $100, then you can return that much more, right? So that's something you just need to be in control of it. You need to know that you've got the cash flow to manage it, and that you are in fact managing business finances.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting that you're seeing more of that with women. It makes me really curious about what's behind that. What is that belief that you won't be able to pay it off, that you might not be able to, sustain things?
I don't have the evidence for this, but my sense of it is that in general, women have not learned to manage money. It hasn't been something that they were brought up with. I was an anomaly. I liked numbers, and I could deal with it, right? But more often than not, they're more interested in marketing or in a product or service that they want to deliver. And they're not really, the numbers part, my husband takes care of that, or I have a CPA who handles that, and they don't know anything about it. But if you want to be a whole business person, a whole business woman, you got to know about all the parts of your business. So in my philosophy, financial management is just as important as the sales and marketing. It's just as important as the product or service. It's just as important as the operations. It's 1/4 of the pie, and not, you have a three-piece pie, and oh, by the way, that person is handling that for me.
Right.
No.
Right.
You need to know what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. Love that. So if you were to advise someone on a regular sort of process to pay attention to their money, how often, what specific things could they do? Maybe a few things that they should be regularly doing on their own to make sure that they are adequately managing their finances and their business.
The first thing I would say is if you have people doing your bookkeeping and paying your bills and making your deposits and everything for you, then you should get your bank statement sent directly to you, and you can open it up yourself. So that you can look and see every expense that goes out of your account, and every dollar that goes into your account. And I say that because in my experience, there's so much fraud. If you're not looking, other people know you're not looking, and it's always the person that you least expected that is pilfering or what's the word? Defrauding you in some way, embezzling, etc. So that's the very first thing I would say. And the second thing I would say is to look at your financial statements, and if you don't understand them, ask the question. Sit down with the person who prepared it and ask what every line item means.
Right.
Let them explain it to you, so that you can come away with a sense of what is going on in your business from a different perspective than the one you're used to looking at it.
Right.
Through.
Right. Excellent. Excellent advice. I'm always fascinated by the two things that you just brought up, especially the business owners who allow someone else to open the mail, someone else to deal with all the accounting and finance, and literally, anything could be going on. And there's really no way they could audit anything because they're so out of touch. So even if you just know enough to think, I saw this, let me go back and check and make sure that it showed up somewhere or whatever it is. I personally couldn't do that, but I do see people who do it, and they're fairly comfortable with it, I guess, until something happens. But not a good process. And also that idea of not asking questions. I don't understand that one either, but certainly that person is working for you to help you with your business, and you are entitled to ask as many questions as you want. Say that one more time.
If they don't want to explain it to you, fire them.
Exactly. Or if they explain it in a way that's so complicated that you can't understand it anyway, that's another red flag to me.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Marilyn, thank you. This has been great. You've provided so much great information, and I think anybody can see how beneficial it would be to work with you. And if your business is at all struggling in any area with respect to money, it is going to take, like you say, somebody looking, at the things that your accountant or bookkeeper is not looking at, and to create strategy and to go a little deeper into those money stories and figure out, what the data is telling you and how you can, improve it. And it shouldn't be scary. It should be something that you can connect with and actually enjoy doing. So if you would tell our audience how they can find you, how they can connect with you.
Sure. If you go on my website, which is crsfinmgmt.com, in the Contact Us page, there is a place for you to schedule a strategy session if you would like, or you can send me an email and ask me to email you. You can email me and tell me what your issue is. I love dealing with people's problems. It's fun to me. So, tell me any problem you want to tell me about. The harder, the better.
Love that.
I'd be happy to work with you.
And one last quick question. What would you say to the person who said, you know what, I really should be able to do this on my own?
Well, you know what? You actually can do it on your own, but verify that.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure, just get somebody to take a look at it and see if they say the same thing you think.
Mm-hmm.
They might say exactly what you think, and then you can rest easy.
Yeah.
But if they have a different point of view, never hurts to have somebody look at it with a fresh set of eyes and give you the story that they see. Because the story they see, I guarantee you, is not the same story you see. And if I can say so myself, I guarantee you I know more about it than you.
I love that. That's a challenge. Okay, that's great, and I will vouch for you on that. I'm sure you would. And so okay, well, thank you so much for joining us from so far away and enlightening everyone today with respect to their money mindset, and the practical things that they can do with their money. So once again,
having me. This is fun.
Good. Okay. Well, thank you, and have a nice time there in beautiful Jamaica. So.
Man, it's hot. It's only May and it's hot.
Well, it's a little cold here actually, so we could use a little of that. But all right. Okay. Yeah. And thank you so much. And to you listeners, thank you as well. Thank you for joining us today. We're here every Wednesday at 1 o'clock at ubngo.com. Also find us streaming from the Limit Free Life Facebook page. And we look forward to seeing you every week. And if you we'd love it if you'd subscribe to the Limit Free Life show on iTunes. And you can also find it on YouTube. and Spotify and some iHeartRadio and some other platforms as well. So thank you so much. We love your questions. We'd love some feedback. And so any questions you have, please send them to Michelle@limitfreelife.com, and we'll try to address them on the show. And you can find me at limitfreelife.com and the Limit Free Life Facebook page and several other Limit Free Life places. I don't know. So, okay. We've loved having you here today, and have a wonderful week.